Inside a small village, everyone watches as a man is being hanged by the neck. The townschildren begin to laugh and point at his visible erection caused by the strangulation, while the rest of the townsfolk start to display bizarre reactions, including a couple making out beneath the man's corpse. Two children, Catherine and her friend, a paid servant, Nellie, are among the onlookers, and they also have strong reactions to the scene. Kathy lives with her drunkard father, Mr. Earnshaw, in their dilapidated estate of Wuthering Heights in the Yorkshire moors. Earnshaw is abusive toward Kathy but brings in a boy off the streets, claiming his own father didn't want him. Kathy is visibly excited to have a new friend and immediately names him Heathcliff in honor of her deceased brother. Though Heathcliff doesn't speak at first, Kathy bonds with him and tries to educate him, but Heathcliff gets frustrated as he couldn't get the wordings yet, plus the constant yelling from Kathy. He quits and says he doesn't want to learn how to read anymore. Kathy goes to meet him in his room to apologize for being hard on him. She tries to make him see reasons why it's necessary for him to read, but Heathcliff gets angry again and tells her to leave, but Catherine refuses, promising Heathcliff that no matter what, she is never going to leave him. One evening while Kathy and Heathcliff are having fun outside as children, Nellie grows jealous of their bond as she feels neglected by her own very best friend, Kathy. One of the maids starts to taunt Nellie about her role as a paid maid and not a real friend to Kathy. She spills her cup of water and makes the maid clean it up to ascertain her dominance. With each day passing, Kathy and Heathcliff spends more time together, which leaves Nellie heavily jealous. One afternoon, Kathy and Heathcliff are stuck out on the streets in the rain. When they get home, Earnshaw is drunk and furious that they have come late for his birthday. He starts to blame Kathy, but Heathcliff takes the blame for it. Heathcliff gets Nellie to take Catherine out of the room while Earnshaw brutally beats Heathcliff, and Kathy can only hear in despair. Later that evening, Kathy goes to join Heathcliff in his room to apologize for what happened and asks if there's anything she wants him to do to ease the pain, and Heathcliff only mentions that he just needs her presence. Then it is revealed that Earnshaw has left permanent scars on his back. When they become adults, Kathy still bonds with Heathcliff. Wuthering Heights has fallen deeper into hard times due to Earnshaw's excessive drinking and gambling habits. When Kathy and Heathcliff go for a walk, they learn that they'll be having a new neighbor as they turn out to be very rich. Catherine says she wants to court their new neighbor, Edgar, so that their marriage may prove beneficial for both Kathy and Heathcliff. He is tired of hearing about Edgar and hoists Kathy up on a tree to shut her up. When he returns to his small cabin, Heathcliff sits on a bunch of eggs that Kathy left in his bed as a payback for leaving her on the tree. One evening while Kathy is taking a walk, she couldn't help but marvel over the Lintons mansion, so she goes over to the estate to spy on Edgar and his ward, an erratic young woman named Isabella who turns out to be Edgar's younger sister. In the middle of Isabella's chattering regarding Romeo and Juliet, she spots Kathy's head peeking up and it frightens her, and causes Kathy to slip and injure herself. Edgar finds Kathy and takes her to treat the leg injury. In the process, Edgar falls in love with Kathy and eventually proposes marriage to her, which she accepts. Kathy returns home with a new dress, and Heathcliff is visibly jealous. Kathy later spots two servants, Joseph and Zillah, engaging in an intense BDSM sexual encounter, while she watches from above the cabin. Heathcliff shows up to cover Kathy's mouth and eyes so she doesn't make a sound, but she can still hear what's happening. The next day at the mountains, Heathcliff finds Kathy pleasuring herself. He tries not to alert her of his presence, but his feet fails him. Embarrassed, Kathy tells Heathcliff that she doesn't want to see him again and feeds him with grass, but Heathcliff stands his ground and tells her she has nothing to be ashamed of, and as they try to kiss, Kathy stops herself as she thinks that their relationship isn't going to work. Kathy talks to Nellie about how she feels some guilt in choosing Edgar over Heathcliff, but as he walks by and overhears out of context the moment where she says that marrying him would degrade her status. With this, Heathcliff grabs one of the farm horses and leaves Wuthering Heights without saying a word to anyone. A day passes and Kathy hasn't seen Heathcliff. Nellie, seeing how she's waiting aimlessly for him, tells her that Heathcliff has gone and is never coming back. A year passes and Kathy marries Edgar, and they are shown to have a passionless marriage at his estate of Thrushcrossgrants, and they bring Nellie along as well. She spends time with Isabella, who helps her acquire fancy dresses and even makes a doll of Kathy with Kathy's own hair, but Kathy continues to quietly yearn for Heathcliff. Some years have passed and Kathy visits the Wuthering Heights to see her father, who's now in a bad state due to his excessive drinking. Sad that her father has now become unrecognizable, he explains that now he has no money and all the maids have left the compound, and that's why it's in a bad state. He admires her new look and begs her for money, but Kathy refuses, her reason being that he would use the money to get drunk again. Earnshaw starts to taunt her about not having kids for her husband and hopes he doesn't throw her out of the house someday. Getting irritated by his condescending words, Kathy throws some coins on the floor for his father. As she's about to leave, Earnshaw calls her back to watch him pick up the coins since that is how she wants to treat him now. Feeling bad about the whole situation, Kathy falls on the ground to help his poor dad pick the coins. 1 year later, Kathy shares the news of her pregnancy to Edgar, who's very excited. While she gets ready for bed, Kathy is shocked when she sits on an egg, and this could only mean one thing. In the morning, Kathy leaves the Lintons estates to the Wuthering Heights, and to her shock, after 5 years of being away, Heathcliff returns, now having mysteriously acquired a fortune and looking well-groomed, clean-shaven, and sporting a gold tooth. Kathy invites him to join them for dinner at the estate. Although Kathy is elated to see Heathcliff again, he remains resentful toward her over her marrying Edgar. Heathcliff eventually mentioned that he bought Wuthering Heights from Mr. Earnshaw, who is more eager to sell it to him. While Kathy and Isabella spend some time together, Isabella can't help but keeps admiring and saying lots of attractive things she feels for Heathcliff. Getting overly jealous and irritated, Kathy tells Isabella that Heathcliff isn't all that lovely and she would regret it if they end up together. This greatly hurts Isabella, and she tells her that she's only looking out for her. When Mr. Edgar leaves for work, giving Kathy and Heathcliff the chance to catch up. Kathy mentions Isabella's interest in him and he pretends not to know what she's talking about, although he fancies the ideas of getting together with Isabella because she has a share on the family's fortune. Kathy pretends that this is a good idea just to make Isabella come out from where she's been hiding to listen to them. Isabella is extremely shy at the sight of Heathcliff, but Kathy forces and tries to make her dance in front of him, but she refuses and walks away. Kathy knows that he doesn't have any interest in Isabella and tells him to leave her alone, but Heathcliff refuses, stating that he would play according to Isabella's fantasies of him and she doesn't have any right to object. Kathy is obviously angry at him and asks if she has wronged him in any way to want to treat her like this. Finding the question amusing, Heathcliff shares that she knew he loved her and still chose to marry Edgar, promising that now that he knows Isabella's naive nature, he's going to exploit as a revenge for how she treated him in the past. That evening, Kathy tells her husband that she doesn't want to welcome Heathcliff in their home anymore and he accepts, not noticing Isabella secretly hurting herself with a needle after hearing what Kathy said. In Wuthering Heights, Earnshaw tries to be friendly with Heathcliff, but he tells him off just like he always did to him when he was younger. He tells Heathcliff that he has always wanted to make him a gentleman, trying to attribute his success to the way he brought him up. He starts taunting Heathcliff on how no matter how much he thinks he's acquired, it will still never be enough for Kathy to be with him. The next day, Paul arrives at the Lintons' mansion to deliver a sad news. Kathy's father is dead. He died from drinking too much alcohol, and at first, Kathy is very sad over the loss of her father, but at that moment she starts kicking his face over her resentment towards him. Kathy goes outside even though it's raining to get over her grief, but Heathcliff joins her and carries her to a shelter, then he offers her his jacket to avoid catching cold. Finally calm, Kathy asks him why he left. Surprised that she's asking him such question, Heathcliff reminds her of the word he said to Nellie on that day, which states that it was degrading to be with someone like him. Kathy tells him that that wasn't everything she said and he only heard part of the conversation. She shared how much she loved him during the conversation, but he didn't wait to hear all of it. Heathcliff is still angry that she went against her heart to marry Edgar, and because of that he's now broken. He tries to leave but can't help it, so he returns to share a passionate kiss with Kathy. During the funeral, Heathcliff starts touching Kathy's hand to comfort her, and after that they hide at a corner to share a kiss. Nellie is aware about their affair and warns Kathy to be careful because of the child she's carrying for Edgar, but Kathy doesn't care. Every night and every day, Heathcliff and Kathy hangs out to make out at any place they find themselves, without any care of being caught or losing each other. With every encounter their passion for each other gets wilder. After learning that Nellie was behind the reason why Heathcliff left, Kathy goes home to tell Nellie to pack her things and move out of the estate. Because of this, Nellie meets with Edgar to share that her wife is having an affair with Heathcliff in his absence. After hearing this, Edgar shuns Kathy to cut off whatever strings she still has with Heathcliff. Days has passed now and Heathcliff hasn't seen Kathy. One evening while Edgar and Kathy are spending some time reading together, a stone gets thrown at their window. Edgar wants to go check it out, but Kathy stops him, insisting to go out herself, promising to return if she doesn't find anything. When Kathy goes outside, she finds Heathcliff hiding in the bushes and tells him to leave before her husband finds them. However, before he leaves he overhears Edgar telling Kathy to get inside not to catch a fever for their unborn child. That same night, Heathcliff visits Kathy in her separate room to ask if the child was his, but Kathy tells him that it isn't. Heathcliff says he doesn't mind as that wouldn't stop him from having his way with her. Kathy tries to dissuade Heathcliff to make him lose interest in her, but that doesn't work as he ended up making out with her in a very passionate way. After they're done, Kathy shares that they can't see anymore because her husband doesn't like the idea of them seeing more often. Heathcliff takes this as a threat to their union and promises to end Edgar if he persists to keep them separated. Kathy doesn't like the idea of him killing her husband, so she tells him they're done. While it pours down heavily, Heathcliff stands outside the estate thinking of how to get back to Kathy. He then enters the house through Isabella's window. She's clearly shocked and scared at the same time but remains calm because she always loses herself at the sight of Heathcliff. Taking advantage of the situation, Heathcliff informs Isabella that he is rough, cold and unfeeling. If she wishes to be married to him, he wants her to understand that it is for the sole purpose of trying to get back to Kathy and not because he loves her. Isabella, clearly under some kind of spell, agrees to everything he says and they end up spending the night together. The next day, Nellie goes to meet Isabella in her room where she finds a letter telling her what they're about to do, and when Kathy learns about it she cries her eyes out and refuses to leave her room. Meanwhile, Heathcliff and Isabella has already made their way to the church to get married, and after the deal is sealed, Heathcliff refuses to kiss the bride and leaves. Back at Wuthering Heights, Heathcliff puts Isabella on a table and strips off her clothes to make love to her in front of his servant. At the same time, Isabella sends a letter to the estate describing how horribly Heathcliff treats her just to see Kathy's reaction, but it's Nellie who gets to see the letter and after reading it she throws it into the firehouse. Angry that he hasn't gotten a response from Kathy, Isabella tells him that if she wants her to write for him since he can't read nor write, he'll have to be nice to her. After promising to be nice, Isabella writes another letter to be sent to Kathy, but Nellie keeps intercepting them and burning it. Edgar wants to see Kathy and know how she's doing, but Nellie refuses, stating that seeing her now will reveal how soft and lenient he is towards her and that would make her to keep seeing Heathcliff, so he has to punish her by not seeing her for now. Meanwhile, Kathy has refused to eat nor leave her room since the day she learned that Heathcliff married Isabella. Tired of her behavior, Nellie tells her to eat for the sake of the baby. That's when she reveals that the baby inside of her is dead. Nellie doesn't take her serious because she hasn't bled and tells her that the baby is fine. Nellie then informs her to move on as Heathcliff has already created a family with Isabella, as she calls Isabella by his Heathcliff's name. This makes Kathy's mood get even worse as she says that's the name she was supposed to bear since she was the one that gave Heathcliff the name. Nellie pays a visit to Heathcliff where she finds Isabella tired on the floor behaving like a dog. Nellie tries to make her leave her position and come with her to her brother's estate, but Isabella refuses, pledging her loyalty to Heathcliff. Nellie tells him that this isn't right, but the man makes her watch as he feeds Isabella like a dog. With this, Heathcliff tells Nellie to inform Kathy that he's found his own matching degradation. Nellie refused to tell her anything and begs Isabella one last time to come home. But instead, Isabella tells her that she's home and she loves it here. Heathcliff tears another sheet and asks Isabella to write to Kathy again as he doesn't think she can ignore her forever. Nellie gets the letter and still burns it yet again. Due to her illness, Kathy keeps hallucinating as she sees herself when she was younger and Heathcliff holding onto her feet just like when they were little. That night she leaves her windows open and Nellie comes in to close it. She tells Kathy that her behavior and attitude is enough, so she must get out of bed. Kathy tells her she can't. Getting frustrated, Nellie pulls out her blanket only to see her legs swollen from sepsis. When she calls Edgar's attention to it, he gets furious at her for allowing her anger over Kathy clouds her mind and tells her to get out of the house. Kathy eventually calls Nellie over to tell her that it wasn't her fault, but Nellie still blames herself for putting her in that situation. Feeling sorry for her actions, Kathy gives her one last instruction. Nellie then goes to Wuthering Heights, where she takes Isabella with her to leave for the city. Meanwhile at the estate, doctors soon arrives to start her treatment, but it's too late. Kathy has lost so much blood from the process and ends up losing her life. Heathcliff learns about this and rides his horse to the estate. When he gets there, Kathy has been covered with a fine silk cloth. He takes of the material to gaze at his beloved one last time before pouring out his heart to the only true love he has, just as a flashback shows the happiness and moments they shared together when they were younger. In the past, Heathcliff whispered to Kathy that he loves her and wishes to spend the rest of his life with her even after death, and this confession made Kathy smile. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video and would love to see more from this channel, please like and subscribe.